I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for
and
which
to the
it
republic
stands,
for which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice
liberty and
for all.
justice for all.
Welcome to the meeting of the Village of Wappingers Falls Board and Mayor for November 11th, 2020. And we just said the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're gonna ask now that we're gonna start with items of recognition and announcements and special events coming up. I would like to acknowledge that tomorrow the Wappingers Historical Society is going to be recognizing Miss Philly Baisley, who has worked and volunteered for many village organizations, and one of her favorite organizations is the Wappingers Historical Society. Philly really enjoys history and taking care of historical buildings and historical organizations. She's very involved in the Fishkill Historical Society, Mount Julian, and as well as the Mizzier Homestead. She has been a member of St. Mary's Church and been very involved in all kinds of other organizations. So in recognition, especially of her contributions to and her efforts for the Mizzier Homestead, the Village of Wappingers Falls, I'm asking that the board consider passing this resolution as it's been written. And it reads as follows: whereas the Village of Wappingers Falls has greatly benefited from the effort of the Wappingers Historical Society, and specifically from the extra efforts of Philly Baisley, and whereas Philly Baisley has generously volunteered for and contributed to Village and Historical Society events, and whereas Philly Baisley has also volunteered in both St. Mary's Church and other community organizations as a loving and dedicated individual who cares greatly for village residents. And whereas Philly Baisley has especially dedicated herself to the preservation and maintenance of the Mizzier Homestead, which is looked after by the Wappingers Historical Society, acknowledging that during her community service to the Homestead, Historical Society, and the village, Philly Baisley has earned the highest level of praise and respect from the mayor, board of trustees, co-volunteers, and village residents. Also having considered the level of true civic duty which Philly Baisley has embodied, which is evident in her service and generous contributions to the society, the village sees it fit to recognize her publicly. Therefore, be it resolved that the village hereby bestows a formal resolution to Philly Baisley for her remarkable contributions to the village. And therefore, be it further resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby designates November 12th forevermore as Philly Baisley Day in the Village of Wappingers Falls. Furthermore, all village residents to whom this resolution of recognition is made known should express gratitude to Philly Baisley for constant devotion to and consideration for our community. And for that resolution, could I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. And John has that in his possession. And John, would you make sure that that gets delivered to Philly tomorrow by yourself, Corey, or Cindy, or if one of the trustees is available in the morning, that would be very nice if one of you could attend this event that the Mizzier Homestead is having.
What time?
I believe it's at 11 o'clock, but you should reach out to Beth Devine.
Okay, I'll take on that responsibility, Mayor.
Okay, And once you find out what time it is from Beth, would you let the trustees know? So if somebody's available, they can join if they're able to.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the next, so somebody's needs to hit their mute button because we're getting feedback. I hear an echo of everything I say. I think that was it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll take a look at the agenda.
I can do the roll call in the meantime.
Yep. Well, before we do that, are there any other recognition? Actually, Walter Burke, I know that you have somebody in the on the force who might have helped somebody this week. Are you there, Walter?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, you're talking about the incident on the bridge on West Main Street?
I am.
Yeah. One of our officers about 4:30 in the morning observed an individual walking on the wall above the bridge. He got out of his patrol vehicle, approached the subject, and the subject started running along the wall. The officer was able to remove him from the wall. Another officer arrived on the scene, and there's a little struggle with trying to subdue the party. It turned out he was in the process. He told the officers he was thinking about jumping off the bridge into the water. So his actions were prevented. He was transported to Mid-Hudson Regional for evaluation, and it could have been a lot different if the officer had just driven by and didn't pay any attention to the subject there.
Okay, I just want to commend your department because this is the second time in the very recent past amongst many times before that your officers have shown an incredible dedication to the community and a level of care that is above and beyond what they would above and beyond the ordinary level of care. And it's one that has helped restrain, shown great restraint in times when they've been threatened themselves. And here's an example of great compassion when that has been necessary to help one of our residents or visitors who was obviously greatly distressed. So I think the board, I can speak for the board saying that we would like to commend those officers who came on the scene and thank the police department for their great service that they've offered us in this time and many other times, Walter.
Right, Mayor, the officers is Dan Giuchato and John Reynolds, and both of them are going to be written up by the lieutenants for an award later on this season in our awards.
All right, very good. Well, please communicate to them that the board was very pleased, and we'll still go ahead, and I'm going to ask John Carge if he could write up a letter on behalf of the board for us.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other items of recognition? And are there any announcements from any civic groups? Walter, do you want to talk to us about the Police Reform Committee and how that's going?
Sure. We took this coming week off, and basically last week we had someone from the county mental health in, and he spoke to us about different services that are available for people who are in crisis. So that information was, is what we're looking for, of how we can deal with situations that we come upon and how we can render aid, while we're waiting for some better trained people to come. So that was part of last week's meeting. Like I said, this week here, they're trying to start to formulate our plan of what we want to do to present to the public hearing in January. Some of the topics, like I said, it was training, the policy and procedures, how we can improve that. So hopefully next week when we meet, we also have some more people coming in from the homeless shelter to discuss ways we can assist anybody who's homeless in the community. And also crisis intervention is also going to come in. And we had an incident later. I'll talk to you in executive session about crisis what aided us on a call that we went on this week.
Okay. So thank you, Walter. And we will be talking more about that, I'm sure, later on in the meeting. But are there any other items, Kevin, from any announcements for, I believe you do have an announcement, Kevin, coming for Thanksgiving weekend?
Yes, we got the Christmas tree lighting be on Saturday. I think it starts at 6 o'clock, Mizzier Park. We're in the process of figuring out what we're going to do. Might have a little parade that starts from Maple Street and goes to Mizzier Park. Give candy along the way. So we'll be going down South Avenue, East Main Street into the park. I don't think we'll be doing a Santa Claus. I mean, we'll have a Santa Claus, but we won't be. The kids won't be able to sit on his lap because of the COVID. Yeah.
What date is that, Kevin?
I think it's the 28th.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think it's the 28th.
I'll look at-
Cool.
Yeah, we have a rec meeting. We're going to be talking about it. I think it's this coming Monday, if I remember correctly. We'll be talking about it. So what our plans are.
Okay, good. So Saturday, the 28th, there will be an event held for the Christmas tree lighting. And are you going to have a rain date or snow date?
Be the 29th?
The 29th? Okay, just so if you'll be putting out a flyer, and so
Yeah.
the flyer will have all the information, which will include whether or not there's going to be a rain date or snow date and what is going to be involved. So that will be
We'll get Todd to put it on the social media page.
good. Okay. If there's no other announcements or recognition, did anything happen this past month with, you did have also Halloween, right? Have you talked about Halloween yet?
Not yet. I was going to save it for the committees, but I can talk about it now. We did.
Okay, yeah, why don't we, this is good time for recognition.
All right, we did have a Halloween parade that went through the village. Sorry, we missed a couple streets, but I want to thank all the volunteers that came out and participated in the parade. The overall review, I think, was pretty good. I mean, just a couple streets we missed. Besides that, I think everybody else liked it. You know, I think it was a good time and people enjoyed it.
They did. I got to watch it from Mizzier Park and down on East Main Street as well, and it really looked great. You guys did a great job.
A lot of people.
Well, I just wanted to say for the time that we're in right now, it really did, touch a lot of people that we got to see a lot of people. Everybody was at their doors, some people in their robes or their pajamas, but a lot of people came out just waving, saying hello. So they were happy to see us go by. I think it was very nice.
It was
Very
awesome.
good. Good job. Good job to all the members of Recreation. Thank you for all your hard work, and also to all of those who volunteered or who donated or who supported that event by bringing a vehicle with a float or candy or whatever was done that day. So all of the feedback that I got in Mizzier Park was that it was very, very well done. Okay. John Carge, was there anything else from Recreation that you wanted to acknowledge, or?
We are, since we're on it, I mean, that was maybe we skip it over there. We are going to be decorating the tree on November 22nd. We're going to do the big main tree in the front and do some lights on the gazebo and get it ready for the holidays.
Okay, well, that's coming up soon. So that's Sunday, November 22nd?
Correct.
Okay, very good. What time?
Unsure of time yet, but we'll post it on the social media page.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm not all together tonight.
all right. Well, you guys have your meeting on Monday and then put it
Yeah.
up on social media. All right, any other announcements? If there's no other announcements, John, would you do the roll call
Mayor Alexander,
here?
trustee Markajon is ill. Trustee Catalano,
Here.
trustee Nesnick,
Here,
trustee Huber,
Present.
trustee Panessa,
Here.
trustee Lammers,
Here.
village attorney Wallace is ill.
Okay, thank you for doing the roll call. At this time, I'd like to ask if we could get a motion to approve the October 14th, 20th, and 28th minutes for 2020.
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
seconded by trustee Panessa. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is there a motion from the Finance Committee to pay bills as per approved warrants?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Okay.
it.
Seconded by trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, that's passed as well. So I'd like to ask,
I'm sorry, was that Mary Panessa who made that motion to accept?
no, Mary, you
It was
didn't
me,
make.
John. Jennifer, John.
Jennifer.
Okay, thank you.
Could I get a motion to suspend the rules and push discussion of the 2021 CDBG project further down the agenda until Corey gets on with us?
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the next thing that we have up is, I think what I want to do is I'm going to start, since we've suspended the rules, I'm also going to ask you to start with the police committee reports, and we'll do all the committee reports, go up, back up to the next item on the agenda and finish up that way. So Walter, do you want to lead us through the stats?
Yeah, can you move it? I don't have a copy at home. I didn't bring home today. All right, as you can see, this month, everything's pretty much the call outs are up because like I said, we're starting to experience some shifts that aren't being covered. So sick outs for a little bit more too. As far as most everything else, traffic tickets were down a little bit. Everything else is pretty much the same that we usually have every month. Any other questions on it?
So it looks like it was one of your higher, like the calls for service were pretty high relative to the rest of the year. Not as high as some months, but among the highest.
Well, they've been steadily going up since, people are being more active and going out.
And a lot more medical calls. I'm kind of reading through the part that was hidden for you. Okay. Any questions for Walter? From the board?
I just got one real quick, Walter, just to back up to your police reform meeting. Is that open to the public? Somebody asked me. Somebody was asking. I wasn't
I
sure.
don't know, Mayor, is that open to the public? The police reform meeting or the police committee? Sorry, I misunderstood.
The police reform meeting.
Right now, it's not. It's just people I'm inviting in to talk to us so we can formulate ideas.
Okay.
We're putting on a website for people from the community to submit ideas for us to discuss. And then when we have our public hearing, they'll have an opportunity to, see the plan and either go along with it or offer new suggestions or whatever. But at this point, it's kind of closed to the people, because we're confined on how many people we can have at the meeting.
Yeah, correct. One of my constituents were just asking, so I said, I'll ask them when I see them at our meeting.
Yeah, if they have anything they'd like to write in, either send it to myself or the mayor, and we'll have it sent down to the committee to look at.
All right, thanks, Walter. We'll do.
Okay, is there anything you want to bring up, Walter, in the committee report?
No, most of the stuff I want to discuss is I'd rather do an executive session, Mayor.
Okay, so trustee, Deputy Mayor Huber, you want to go over the highway?
I don't think he realizes he's on mute.
Yeah, you got to unmute yourself, Kevin.
I'm sorry. I don't have a report in front of me. I didn't get one. And I know they're out doing leaves, sucking them up and picking them up with the bags and stuff. They were I'm trying to think. I was off last week and I was with them. There was a couple other things they did, but I know that they're out there working.
Okay, this is definitely leaf season, and
Yeah.
they have been picking up, and I believe that should be all they've been doing right now. So fire.
We had 25 alarms for the month of October, and we just purchased new radios in our last meeting we had on the I think it was the 28th for the fire department. So that's all that's going on there for now. The new engine is being built as we speak. I guess the fellow's got a meeting in a couple of months to go look at it.
Okay, any questions to Kevin on highway or fire?
Hey, Kevin, where's the new engine being built?
I think it's out in the Midwest, Wisconsin, I want to say. I could
okay, yeah.
Don't hold me to that though. I could
Yeah.
be wrong.
I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'm having.
Mayor, I just have one thing for the lake.
Okay,
I don't have all their names down in front of me, but I would like to thank all the gentlemen that were out on the lake with me this summer, helping clearing out the weeds. I think we did an awesome job this year, and I hope they can help me out again next year and make it bigger and better, go further.
it might be nice to for you to get something prepared for the December meeting to acknowledge the individuals who
Yeah,
volunteered.
I could do that.
Okay. All right, and do you want to talk to us about your trip out on the lake with the silt sucker?
Oh, last week we were out with I put the silt sucker on the machine that we do, and we had a gentleman down there who's going to be, he has a charcoal thing, we're going to run it through a charcoal filter. So I'm going to suck the bottom of the silt up and run it through a filter that goes through charcoal, and we're going to pump all the water back into the lake, and possibly you can sell this to landscapers for material. All the silt on the bottom, I guess it's good for growing grass and flowers and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing that in the early part of the spring. We're going to try that out.
Very good. So any questions on lake, highway, or fire for Kevin? Okay, John Carge, would you talk to us about safety?
All of the departments in the village have adequate supply of PPE equipment. I've checked with them throughout the month, and they all seem to have an adequate supply at the moment. I'll continue to monitor that to make sure that we don't run out of anything. That's it.
Okay, good. And let's see. So on water, The village is continuing to work on its filtration. It actually, I'll let Corey talk to you about the USDA grant application. And we have also discussed how we can back ourselves up for additional water with other agreements. So the more places that we can get water agreements where we can have backup emergency water connections, the better for village residents. It's also good for hazard mitigation. So that was a major effort that we were looking at. We also will be talking to KC Engineering next week on the 18th about some continued projects that will go into next year. And I think that's it for water, unless somebody has a question about water. Okay, if there's no other questions about that, the Personnel Committee, I don't believe had any reason to have a meeting about anything other than specific confidential employee issues. Let me know if you have something.
No.
That you want. Okay. So if there's nothing to talk about there, on the sewer side, the village and the town of Poughkeepsie, as well as the town of Wappinger as tenant of Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission, continue to work through sewer projects that we feel are necessary. One of the big projects that we would like to work on is some upgrades at Tri-Municipal Sewer Commission, which are nearing the end of their 25-year-long useful life anyway. And we're trying to look at ways to spend money in a way that would expand, not greatly expand, but modestly expand the capacity of the plant in at Tri-Municipal so that it could pick up other users throughout the system. One of the reasons we're most concerned about these other users is because of the amount of phosphorus, nitrates, and fecal coliform and sediment that's getting into Wappinger Lake. So sewer plants have a lot of phosphorus going out of their system into the watershed, and that ends up getting into our lake. Phosphorus, of course, is something that acts as fertilizer, because it is fertilizer for plant activity. The more plants we have, the less sediment is able to move. If there's too much sediment, phosphorus, and invasive species in the lake, you get a lake full of weeds, as we have. So this is something that we would like to work on. So in that effort, we have been looking at projects. One of them was one that Kevin mentioned about running water through a charcoal filter, but we've also been looking at using MBR technology, which is a membrane technology that can be used in very small sewer plants. And what it has the ability to do is to reduce the amount of phosphorus down to zero. So we have a demonstration project has just been set up this last Friday nearby at a condominium complex, and it is going to be tested. The company that put it in place, StreamGo, is putting this demonstration project up for free, and it will be included in our 9-element plan, and we're going to do an analysis of how much phosphorus it removes. So we're going to compare the amount of phosphorus in the effluent that's coming out of the sewer process without this project, and the amount of effluent that's coming out of the process with this project. The entire thing fits in a steel container, and the water is very, very clear when it comes out. Of course, we will continue to do tests on it, but it looks like it's already very successful. And we're hoping that this demonstration project will be one that the county executive, neighboring municipalities can come and look at, and we can encourage all of them to use this kind of technology upstream instead of a technology that is outdated at this point and lets too much nutrients go into the water. I'm going to pull up a picture in a minute, but first I'm going to ask Corey if he wants to talk to us about other grant activity that he's been working on.
Yeah, sure. Well, as you brought up, we finally submitted a USDA application last week. This is for a green sand filter at our water treatment facility. Casey did the real work behind it, and it's around, I believe, it's $11 million. It's a very large grant or request. We'll see how much, if any, that we end up earning. But so that was submitted last week. And for the boathouse, we began pouring the exterior patio and parking lot and a pad for some of the machinery that's going to heat and cool the inside. So that is on our new updated COVID schedule that the boathouse is on. Beginning that contract is one of the real last legs before we can actually open the boathouse. So hopefully by this winter, the boathouse will actually be usable. And Bain Park, we had a public meeting. I can't think of the date off the top of my head. I believe it was October 26th.
20th.
Hello?
It was the 20th.
For Bain Park, a public meeting that was about our final concept. And since then, we've had our first real meeting right at the field. It was me, Matt, Casey Engineering, Cindy. It was, Village Rec, some trustees were there. Jen was there. And we finally got that underway. So hopefully a concept will come out in the next few weeks, months. And then we can start digging maybe come next year. We still plan on planting the trees when they come. I've contacted the people to see when those are coming. We want to plant those by hopefully late November. And so that's it for Bain at the moment. St. Mary's, we met, me, Cindy, Latino, and the mayor, met with a gentleman named Miles Hansen, who is, he works for Lords as an athletic trainer, and he wants to put together this camp that he does, sort of a recreation community center type. And we were looking at St. Mary's for that. So we met there with Father Daniel to take a look at the property. And we actually had a meeting this morning with me, Nancy, this man named, I believe it was Jim Santoro, and Miles, to think about taking our next steps to actually possibly offer the church, which St. Mary's, the property's on, to see, what the pricing might be to go start a camp there. So hopefully we can get something in there by possibly sometime early next year. The LWRP, Matt sort of explained when he was going through the biochar charcoal projects, as well as the possible StreamGo membrane projects for smaller water treatment plants. Those are two things we're going to bring to the DOS in the next few days to see if we can add those to the projects, which we think we will. And let's see, the TAP project is still just about done. I believe we're going to be closing that out. They're still doing work on that little section that I'm sure people have noticed, but that's no longer part of the project. And lastly, the EPA, we hope to, we changed contacts in the EPA. The gentleman I usually contact retired. And so we met our new person, and we hope to start testing at the bleachery sometime this winter. So as far as projects right now, that's sort of what we've been doing in the past month. Sorry if I went a little quick. I was reading off a list.
Okay, so before we go on to the next item on the agenda, are there any questions about any of the grant projects or grants?
No, good job, Corey.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no questions there, we did put on the agenda for today a call to have a public meeting concerning the use of community development block grant funding. And so ask the public and consider amongst the public as well as the board if there are projects for which you would like to apply to the Community Development Block Grant Program for money. So the Community Development Block Grant is a consortium of the municipalities in Dutchess County as well as Dutchess County who gather together and collectively use their statistics to attract a block grant. So there's a grant block of money awarded to Dutchess County every year. It's usually around 1.1 or $1.2 million. And Dutchess County Planning puts together a grant process. And before they do that, they have a public input meeting and they ask people to give their input. So that's already all been done. The use of the funding is guided by HUD, and HUD says that the funding should be used for low-income communities. We have a substantial portion of our village is low-income, and for purposes of this grant, any project within our village limits is eligible just because it's within our village limits and they use our income numbers. They also focus on ADA projects that would allow children to use parks, access to places that are not accessible for people with disabilities. So those are projects that can be done because we're in this specially designated area as a village within our village limits. We could also do just straight out infrastructure projects. So we can get up to $150,000 for infrastructure, and it's usually limited to around $100,000 for other projects. So so the ideas, so that's one. This year, the Dutchess County was given 2 pots of funding. The second pot of funding that came through the Community Development Block Grant Program is for COVID, and that is a much larger amount of money. And they are looking for projects that would be useful for all of the requirements that are in the HUD program as I just described them. There are more. Those are just the most common requirements. And plus, it must be related to COVID-19. So on top of that, we're looking at something that would help during the COVID-19 emergency time. So I think there are 2 ideas that we have, and I'll tell you what those 2 are. One is that for the non-COVID portion that we look at Bain Park. So last year, Bain Park received $100,000 in funding, and we purchased the park equipment and have it stored in a location right now, but it would also be possible to do more work at Bain Park. Bain Park is a park that's going to require hundreds of thousands of dollars over to achieve the final vision of it. So this would be an opportunity to put together additional project funding for that park. So that was one idea. The second idea would be to use the COVID funding for a project which would create a community center in St. Mary's. I think what we're talking about calling it would be the St. Mary's Wellness Center. And the idea would be to get not the village, but to get nonprofit groups to run programs there. So we have been talking to one nonprofit group which deals with Americans with disabilities, children. It deals with children on the spectrum. They would be able to put a program in one of the places. And we're also talking to the groups that Corey just brought up, who might be able to put an experience for children who are in need of additional recreation, in need of getting out of the house in a safe environment, and also an experience which would specifically help them finish their homework. So what we're hearing about is that there are lots and lots of children out there who are watching the computer screen while they're not going to school, and they're ending up not getting their homework done, they're kind of zoning out, not paying attention. There are many people who send their children to very specialized daycare centers who help them with their schoolwork while the parents are at work. However, we might have a higher percentage of our community might not be able to afford those specific kinds of programs. And the programs that we've been talking to people about putting in there would be ones that would help them on a more one-on-one basis, or at least a lower mentor to student ratio than they might get if they were just sent to a regular daycare that didn't really focus on their schoolwork. So those are just two ideas. There's no bad ideas here. There might be ideas that you bring up that might not fit the eligibility requirements, but what we would like to do is encourage a discussion of potential projects that could use $100,000 to $150,000 of funding in the village. So Corey, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I would say you just about covered it. I was going to suggest the Bain Park thing too. But yeah, if anyone has any other thoughts, please let me know.
And what was the one you were going to suggest?
Bain Park, but
Bain Park. Okay. Yeah. So it would also do, water mains, sewer lines in certain areas of the village. So that's not a bad idea, but that's a small amount of money to put towards a water main or sewer line project. And then Corey spent some time in some training classes and had done a lot of the work in the literature, and also written these grant applications last year for funding. So he's got some additional knowledge as to how the eligibility works and more about what they're looking for in these programs. So all that being said, are there any thoughts from the trustees about projects that you'd like to see?
Just the ones we talked about earlier with Bain Park and Vets Field. Possibly some pavilions out there. Drop my notebook.
Okay, so there is so there is one idea also that would put pavilions in different locations in the village. So So, and it's one where we could work on putting these open-sided pavilions in different parks. Maybe some of the parks might get more than one. Bain Park is going to be a 5-acre park, over 5 acres actually. And Vets Park is a pretty large park too, maybe not quite 5 acres, but in and around that amount. So those areas might benefit from having a space that can be used in an open air setting. So that would be another project, and that could go along just with the Bain Park idea, or it could be expanded to include some of the other parks as well.
I just have one question. When we're talking about projects specifically at St. Mary's, talking about the different nonprofits, if you were to get grant funding for that, that goes to support the programs themselves, not necessarily the facility of St. Mary's, correct?
It would go to support the programs themselves, but one of the things that those programs might need would be to pay the rent to use the space at St. Mary's. So
if St. Mary's was no longer for some reason, or the property sold, the grant, including the rent, could be transferred to, say, something like if we were to go to Bethel, their old church or something like that. I just don't want to put all of our eggs in the St. Mary's basket when it comes to projects.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's interesting. I think Corey could figure out how to do that with this same group of people. So I think we could figure out how to use it at more. So it could be written in a way, Corey, you would have to discuss that, but it could be written in a way where we could look at alternate locations. I would say that if there's a lease worked out, the other idea too, I should add to this, is that that this might include things on the village's behalf as part of this grant application. So it could, especially the COVID one, could include a coordinator of events for that are safe for people, such as the event that was just held for Halloween. It could be it could also pay for programs that the village could be the user of, so that the village could contract with one or more of these nonprofits who get involved with sharing this space and offer those programs to village children, seniors, or families, or anyone who wants to use them for specific reasons. So it would be like it would be like funding a part of our recreation program, but a very specialized part of it that would relate to COVID-19. So I think we could incorporate not having it be just for one location. It could look at other locations.
All right.
Any other comments? Okay, if there's no other comments.
No, sorry, that was just me. I was going to say, well, thank you for the input that was given. Thank you. I'll take that into consideration.
Okay, and I think maybe you should have a meeting that should at least include the trustees who brought up comments, and maybe one other trustee, just to make it a 3-person committee, so that you can make sure that you get this written in accordance with what the trustees are looking for.
Will
And
do. It's by the way, I don't think we said it. The submission is for the regular CDBG one. I believe it's November 20th or December 1st. So when we do set a meeting up, whoever wants to join, it'll be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and you could also just send that to them over email.
Right.
The way you write it up. Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Bless
Yes, thank you. Good thing we're all not together. All right. Okay, so are there any other comments or input about that? Okay, if not, I think we'll take that back and Corey will start writing and share what he writes with the board. And so we're back on the agenda as it was, and I think we have an item on here having to do with the hiring of an individual. Is that something we want to talk about now or in executive session?
We're tabling that.
Okay. Okay, so have I looked at everything? Is there anything else on the agenda that I missed?
Can I have a motion to table that?
Could we get a motion to table it?
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second it.
seconded by trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
Kristen Catalano found out that the Billy Baisley recognition will be tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, but you should be there 10 or so minutes earlier. I am planning to be there.
Okay, good.
I plan to go too. I think it will be fairly brief, maybe 20 minutes to a half hour. So if anybody can swing through.
I'm working at the nursing home in the Bronx tomorrow from 9 to 5. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it.
Okay. Are there any items that the
I'll
board
be
wants
working.
to bring up? Okay, if there's no items that you want to bring up now, are there any public comment? So if there's anybody who's watching this on YouTube, you could get back to us by going through the meeting link on our webpage. I'm going to hold just for a couple of moments to see if anybody wants to bring up anything in public comment. And then actually, Ryan Murphy, do you want to give us an update while we're waiting?
I don't really have too much to update here. I was looking to go into executive session also and talk.
Okay, there was, just for information, there was some movement made on one of the properties that we've been discussing. That was the South Remsen property, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so there has been an interaction between the homeowner and the village representatives. And we expect there should be another one coming soon. So it will be a multi-stage process, but there has been some comment. Or how about the property on Trabuco?
I haven't gone by there yet. I will go by tomorrow. She has been making an attempt to clean it up, so we have not gone onto the property.
Okay. Any movement on North Street?
No.
No,
It looks like more stuff's
back
getting
and
added.
forth.
Okay.
It looks like more stuff's getting added.
Yeah.
More grills out in the yard, chairs, and
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to tell him how many grills he can have as much as, that's just
yeah.
not something we're going to be able to do.
Okay. Anything else from any of the trustees?
Mayor, I just thought of one. The Franny Reese parking lot down there, is that our ownership yet? Did we take ownership of that?
We have
Project.
not, but I think we're very close to finishing it up. And I think on the 18th, we'll hear more about what's left to do.
All right, because the reason why I'm asking is because the barrels are gone, and when I left at work early this morning, I noticed there was a car parked there. I'm assuming it was there throughout the night. And if we're just waiting on the handrails, and if we open the parking lot, I would think we should lock the gate for the time being if we're going to do it that way, or maybe I can get Pete to put cones up to close it off, because Secone, looked like Secone took the barrels out.
Okay, why don't we find out where the barrels are first, and then we'll talk about this at next week then. I think would be the best way to approach it. And John, are you gonna get John Carge, are you gonna get the sign up?
I have the sign. I didn't put it up yet because I didn't want people to think that it's available at the moment. The signs are here in the office. They can be put up in a matter of minutes. I don't know, do you think I should put them up now or should I wait until the contractor turns it over to us?
I think we should wait until the contractor turns it over, but I just want to make sure we're ready. So,
We're ready. I'm ready.
okay, very good. All right. So if there's nothing else, I think I'd like to ask if we could get a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, bargaining agreements, as well as litigation.
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second.
Second,
seconded by trustee Panessa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And I don't expect that we'll be coming out of executive for a vote.
Are we in executive now?
No,
No.
you're not yet. I'm about to start the room. I'm going to put up the screen that says executive session. Who's going in? Everybody who's here now?
Yes,
Not
Including,
Corey's not.
So-
John Carge, do you need to go with us? And Brian Murphy, do you need to go?
Kevin wanted me to just talk a little bit about medical.
Okay.
I want to discuss the,
You don't have to say it now, but do you want to go into executive?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's everybody with Walter Burke. And Brian Murphy and John Carge.